来は俺の手の中に。モンスターボールゴー！
Wait, did Go really just catch Suicune?
すごい！本当にスイクンをゲットしたんだね。
とっても綺麗。
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 53. I caught a legend, find the guardian deity of water, Suicune. This was the 1138th episode of the Pokemon anime, and wow, what can I say? Go actually caught Suicune. He really did it. We've got a lot to break down, so let's get started. The episode opens with a little backstory about Suicune, not an explanation, but a demonstration as we see Suicune come to the rescue and purify a grimy pond. I'm not going to talk about Suicune itself too much in this video, since I already have another video planned for this week where I chronicle the history of Suicune in the anime and the movies, so be sure to check that one out once it drops. In this review, I'm going to focus on Go catching Suicune, so let's talk about how we get to that point. Professor Cerise fills in Ash and Go about Suicune's appearance and sends them to go investigate. Ash and Go travel to Johto to look for it, which is something I suggested in my one thing Ash needs to do in every region video, so hopefully the anime checks off more ideas from that list in the future. Anyways, they start to smell something really awful, and that's because they found the lake Suicune purified earlier, but it's not even remotely clean. That's because these scumbags are not only dumping sewage into the water, but also telling their poison-type Pokemon to spam Sludge Bomb and make the water unclean. This is obviously a smart plan by these Pokemon hunters since they know Suicune will show up to try and purify the water. Of course, Ash rushes in to try and stop them, even though Go wanted to just call Officer Jenny. Before they can really get into a battle, here comes Suicune to save the day, purifying the water once again and attacking the hunters. Again though, these hunters are smart, and apparently they've been repeatedly damaging the lake so that Suicune keeps expending energy by purifying it, and the boss hunter points out that Suicune can't be at full strength because of this. After nailing it with a flurry of Sludge Bomb attacks and getting in the way of Ash and Go's attempt to save it, they look like they have Suicune as good as caught, and then, well, you saw the clip before. Go uses his "the future lies in my hands" catchphrase, and before the hunters can take Suicune for themselves, Go throws a Pokeball at it and catches it. Okay, let's stop down here for a second. Obviously, just the fact that someone caught a legendary is pretty incredible. In my review for the previous episode, I speculated that Suicune would let itself get captured by Go, but it turns out that this was a legitimate catch by Go, not just Suicune allowing itself to be caught. In other words, even though Go didn't actually battle it at all, Suicune was so beat down by not only purifying the water over and over, but also the Sludge Bomb attacks it took. Add on to the fact that it was clearly poisoned by these attacks and it was in near critical condition, which for a legendary is really saying something. We saw in episode 40 when Go battled Zapdos that even after battling it and landing a few significant hits, Zapdos was still more than powerful enough to break out of a Pokeball. However, in this case, Suicune really was too weak to break out. That's not how I expected it to happen, but so far it makes sense how Go is able to catch Suicune. Let's keep going. Ash steps up and tells Go to run for help while he holds off the hunters. Go runs away, but this idiot trips and drops Suicune's Pokeball. Way to take good care of that legendary Pokemon he just caught, Go. Suicune uses this opportunity to escape from its Pokeball. Just to go over what happened here, Suicune let itself out of the Pokeball, which is something we know Pokemon can do. If they so please, they can choose freely whether to enter or exit their Pokeball, we just don't see it very often. It's pretty reasonable to suspect that since Suicune was so weak at the time, it didn't necessarily have the power to let itself out until Go tripped, which essentially simulated him throwing the Pokeball. Suicune took this opportunity to get out of the ball, and it was not happy. Suicune even lashes out at Go's attempt to recall it, showing that Suicune does not want to be caught by anyone, and that it didn't just enter the Pokeball by choice a minute ago. Well, I guess it could have, and its plan all along was to break out later, but it's not like we can read Suicune's mind. Suicune is likely pretty confused by this point since it's so tired and was just attacked by humans, it must think that Go means it harm as well. It plants itself inside this tree and Go finds some of the Pokemon that we saw at the beginning of the episode protecting Suicune, returning the favor from when Suicune saved their lake at the beginning of the episode. Go comes up with a plan and sends out his Raichu and Alolan Exeggutor. Considering they were trying to hide at this point, I'm not sure sending out a massive Pokemon like Exeggutor was a bright idea. At least we got to see Go's Raichu again though, that was cool. Go leaves Cinderace and Exeggutor to stand guard, and he goes out to collect some berries, and along the way he catches a Drowsy, which we later learned through a nicely drawn comic-style flashback. Go gives over some Pecha Berries to heal Suicune's poison, and feeds the other Pokemon as well. We can see that Suicune is starting to trust Go, and even lets it take care of its injured leg. The hunters finally catch up with them, but Go really shines here as he takes them on with Cinderace and Drowsy, explaining that he caught the Psychic type because he knew the hunters use poison types. The battle is going great until the boss hunter steps in and counters Go's counter by sending out his Houndoom, which easily defeats Drowsy. His underlings get Suicune in a net, and they even start kicking it while it tries to fight back. I was surprised that they actually showed humans physically attacking Pokemon. That was especially brutal. The twists and turns are far from over though, as Ash comes in to turn the tables back in Go's favor. I was surprised that they actually struggled battling against the hunters though. I feel like Ash and Go should have been able to win here, but it looks like the hunters have the advantage. Suicune has been observing all this, and it seems to have finally fully recognized how much Ash and Go are going through to try and save it. Just as Houndoom closes in for the finishing blow, it gets blasted by a Hydro Pump, and oh god, Suicune really means business now. It looks to have fully regained its energy and breaks free of the net before having a long stare down with Go. The trainer recognizes that his Pokemon has come to respect him and realizes that Suicune wants to battle on their side. And then, as weird as it may seem, Go commands Suicune like it's his own Pokemon. Well, because it is his own Pokemon. As much as we can nitpick whether or not someone like Go should really have a legendary on his team, which I'll discuss later, I couldn't help but feel like Ash in this moment. It was incredible to watch Go and Suicune team up like this and absolutely decimate the hunters. Just when Suicune looks like it's going to blow the hunters into a million pieces, it even listens to Go when he tells it to relent, and the day is saved. Officer Jenny comes in to take the criminals away, but now what exactly is Go planning to do with Suicune? Last week, my prediction was that Go would catch Suicune to save it from the hunters, but then release it because he knew Suicune had a higher purpose than just sitting in the Cerise Park all day. And, well, I was nearly spot on, since Go literally tells Suicune that it can leave because it has more important things to do. Then what happened next shocked me, as Suicune lets itself out of its Pokeball and has this surreal moment with the music building up in the background, and then it lets itself back inside the Pokeball, and at this point, Sobble's expression basically matched my own. Because to my shock, Suicune actually decides to stay with Go. Alright, I'd love to stop right there and break things down, but first let's touch on what happens next. They bring Suicune back to the Cerise Park and show it off to the professor and his assistants, but just when I start to think that Suicune may actually have decided to just sit around at the Cerise Park all day, it runs off, lets off a big howl, and emits some kind of magic Suicune energy before disappearing. It just vanishes basically, no explanation given. Well, Go takes a stab at explaining it and claims that Suicune is still there, even if you can't see it. Okay? The narrator wraps up the episode and gives us a bit of closure on the situation. He reiterates that Go and Suicune have formed a bond and says that there are still many more Pokemon in the world. In the background, lots of legendary Pokemon scroll past and Suicune is seen running along, which I guess symbolizes roaming the world? That's my interpretation of it at least. Go has officially caught Suicune, and it chose to stay as Go's Pokemon, even though he tried to release it. But it won't actually stay with the rest of Go's Pokemon at the Cerise Park, it's just going to resume roaming the world as it normally would. It's strange, but since it's a legendary Pokemon, I can see how this could work. I'll talk more about this in the next section. I'm giving this episode a 9 out of 10 rating. This episode premiered on January 29th, which happens to be my birthday, and wow did the anime deliver with a great present for me. What I loved about this episode was that it told the story of Go and Suicune in a way that made sense, and had a lot of good action, as well as emotional storytelling. Now, I know this episode is going to be divisive to a lot of the fan base, so I'll explain why I'm more than happy with everything that happened. They fit a ton into this episode, but unlike some other Journeys episodes, they actually did so pretty effectively this time. There wasn't a whole lot of fluff at the beginning of the episode. We pretty much got straight into Ash and Go running into Suicune and the hunters. Like I said before, the hunters had a smart plan, and it was believable how they had weakened Suicune to the point that Go could catch it. Like I also explained before, it made sense how even though Go was able to catch Suicune, it understandably didn't just go willingly along with him. Instead, Go had to earn its trust, and Go really shined at this point. He was smart enough to help not only Suicune, but the other Pokemon, which Suicune would obviously respect, since it assumes the role of guardian for these Pokemon. Not only that, but Go used a couple of his own Pokemon that we haven't really seen much of yet, and that's the benefit of Go having so many Pokemon. It is a little convenient that he just so happened to have Exeggutor and Raichu with him, but that's such a minor detail that I didn't care. It was just nice to see them again after a while. One of the only downsides to this episode to me was that we never got to see Ash really give it to these hunters in battle. Given how strong Ash currently is, I kind of wish he had just brought out like 4 of his Pokemon and been able to overcome the hunters himself, but instead the hunters nearly had them beat. As for Go keeping Suicune, this was a surprise to me, but a good one. Like the end of the episode insinuated, Suicune isn't going to be a permanent fixture in Go's team. That's good, because I don't really want to see Go just march around with an OP team of legendaries. Really, if this were any other series of the anime and Go wasn't there, we probably would have seen a similar episode to this one. But instead of someone catching Suicune, they would have just helped it escape the initial hunter attack and then protected it in the same way that Go did. At the end of the episode, Ash and whoever else would have let Suicune go and not tried to catch it. Instead, Go's creative way of saving Suicune was to catch it himself when he had the opportunity, which shocked everyone else. No one else thought of that idea but Go, and that's why the episode played out like it did. I loved it, and I think it was one of the best episodes of Journeys so far. Going forward, I doubt we see Suicune more than a handful of times. Just like Suicune has the sense to travel to bodies of water that need purifying, it will also have the sense to be able to return to Go should he need it. We already saw that Go was willing to let Suicune go, so I don't think Go will be treating it like he does any of his other Pokemon. It will have to be an extreme situation for Go to want Suicune to come back. What that situation may be, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll speculate on this more in my Suicune video later this week. As for right now, let me hear your guys' thoughts about Go catching Suicune in the comments. Are you outraged by it, or did you love it like I did? I'm sure there's a wide variety of opinions out there, so be sure to let me know down in the comments. The preview for the next episode was also incredible. It was an overdramatic preview for what will be a Sobble focused episode. As you guys should know by now, I have a soft spot for Sobble, and I can already tell I'm going to love this episode, regardless of what happens. Plus, its name is Mission Impossible, which has got to be one of the best episode titles ever, Japanese, English, or otherwise. Before you go, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I put out a music compilation last week, and I've probably listened to it like 6 times already myself, so you should check it out if you haven't already. It's just one of those videos that you can put on in the background while you're working or doing homework or trying to sleep or whatever else, so it's totally different from what I normally post. I hope you guys enjoy that one, and of course, thanks for watching this video. I still can't really believe Go caught Suicune and is keeping it. That's wild. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.